What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the GITM podcast, where we cover the true crime, the paranormal, conspiracy, silliness.
Joe Biden's ass cancer, for lack of a better word.
Yes, it's sad. I was not a fan of
but you know,
president, but you don't want that.
Yeah, you don't want people to have fucking cancer. I don't know what stage it is or whatever.
But then again, like I said earlier, before we actually technically started, you know, he's 195,000 years old.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, like him or not, can the dude catch a fucking break in his personal life?
And the good news is, not to make light of it, but he probably doesn't even understand he has cancer.
Like, you have prostate cancer, you're like, Arby's?
Hairy legs.
Yeah. Mr. President, Mr. Former President, you're deathly ill. All right, I like this guy. So I'm going to get this guy a high five and a Diet Coke. I mean, ice cream for the whole doctor's office.
I mean, I think, you know, dementia or Alzheimer's, cancer is not a joking matter. However, I will say this. If you're going to get one of them, just go ahead and get both of them.
He's got everything.
Because at least if you have Alzheimer's and you get cancer, not a big fucking deal for you to deal with.
Maybe if he survives cancer, he'll keep like tough talking like he randomly would. He's like, I come from another time. I'm from the old school. But seriously though, personally, fuck that poor man. Buried his wife. His son's doing crack in hotels.
His one son died. Yeah.
Nobody cares about that one. They care about the crack in the hotels one.
Well, you know,
the crack whores one.
He's living Junior's living his best life.
And then now he's got fucking cancer. He spent 4 years being berated because he was completely out of his mind and in charge of a country.
But was he, though?
On paper.
In charge.
On paper.
But, you know, like I said earlier, that was basically what they did to him was elder abuse.
The best thing he ever did was, what was that interview or whatever that he did where he was talking, who is he talking to? But he was talking about the little button on his phone that he can do whatever he wants in the Oval Office. Yeah. And he was like, ice cream. And I think they brought ice cream into the Oval Office.
That's a button I need.
Yeah. I don't know. I would hang out with Joe Biden. I don't know about his politics, but he seems like a fun old man to hang out with.
Like your crazy old uncle.
Especially now that he's got all that campaign money left over. He's fucking rich. You're like, oh yeah.
I'm not sure if they get to keep that.
Chicken fried steaks all around on old Joe Daddy.
I mean, I think he would be a fun hang.
Yeah. Like, oh, can we get the former president a beer? I can't have that. I can't drink all my medications.
Your Biden's turning into Obama.
It's kind of the same. Biden is just Obama 30 years older.
And whiter. But is he, though?
Biden might be blacker than Obama.
Maybe. I don't know.
President, at least. What's all this about Michelle Obama having a penis?
I think the internet might be lying about that. I don't know. I saw an interesting video, where it looked like something was bouncing.
It was her fucking gun. Because, you know, isn't she from the hard streets of Chicago or some shit? Or is that where Barack's from?
I mean, I don't know.
Pope's from Chicago. He's probably got a fucking a gat on him at all times.
Pope needs one.
He's holy rolling.
He don't need that bulletproof little dome thing he had.
The fucking Pope-mobile?
Yeah. He don't need that. He's strapped.
Do they still have a Pope-mobile?
I do not know.
Do they still go on tours with the Pope-mobile?
I don't know.
Why don't they make one of those for Annabelle? Take that bitch on tour. Throw her little frumpy Raggedy Ann looking ass and
fucking accidents and shit.
Not even Raggedy Ann looking, literal Raggedy Ann. Yeah, she's gonna cause more accidents, like the motorcycle guy.
Motorcycle. Check out that episode.
There's that was
early in the Travis.
There's
days.
A young man who, as a child, was somewhat witness to the aftermath of that motorcycle accident and found himself later working for the Warrens.
I guess we should say, for those people listening to this on your favorite podcast app, we will get to Uri Geller in a minute. Was he a con man? Was he a psychic? What the hell was he?
He looked like a fucking nerd.
He was a nerd. He
does. He looks like a straight up white nerd.
He was a nerd.
He looks like a dude that wears Nike fucking, what are those, Nike Air Monarchs and cuts the grass in jeans.
I've done that. Thank you very much.
Point fucking proven. He does. He looks like an everyday suburban white dad.
I will say this. Nike Air Monarchs are probably the most comfortable shoes.
For $49.99 at your local Kohl's. They come in 3 colors.
White and black. And with a little bit of red specks in there, or a little bit of red in.
Or the white with the blue check.
I mean, they by far
whatever.
the most comfortable Nike shoe I have ever worn.
I haven't worn very many comfortable Nike shoes. Actually, Nike SB, the skate shoes, was probably the most comfortable Nike I've ever worn. Probably.
As always, we will get started here in a minute. If you want to get to the Uri Geller, fast forward. We're going to shoot the shit, have a good time, people.
How do you feel about J-Lo's lawsuit?
I didn't. See, I haven't been. I've been busy.
Jennifer Lopez is being sued for posting paparazzi pictures of herself.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Let me wrap my pea brain around that for a minute.
The paparazzi took pictures of her and she posted them, and they are suing her because they are their property. The pictures of her are their property. Fuck you. I like that idea. That's just taking your ball and going home.
Well, you know, she obviously takes the ideal that if you can't beat them, join them.
Fuck them. It's a picture of you. Like, how are you gonna fucking that's my intellectual property. It's literally fucking her, dickhead.
Yes, but she did not take the picture. And when you are out in public, you have no rights to privacy. I do not believe.
Yeah, but fucking football games are public. But if you record those, you get in trouble, huh?
That's the broadcasting rights. Different apples to assholes.
They're all assholes. Either way, it's fucking stupid.
Well, I don't disagree with you.
Who's wasting the time of the court system to be like, Your Honor, this funky big bootied bitch used my photographs that I worked hard for from the passenger seat of my friend's Scion to get.
For 3 days to get these photos.
I sat in a Scion XB with no air conditioning in the middle of Los Angeles for 3 days to get a picture of this slut. And now she's benefiting off of her own likeness.
Damn her.
Not while this fucking paparazzo's living.
I will say, I did pay attention to one thing. I'm a little pissed off at Trump.
Well, is it that shit that he's trying to get past that they're having trouble getting past? I saw something briefly
apparently
about.
It has passed about the 30. I'm assuming. I think I heard it pass. Or at least they're trying to get it passed. I know for sure, but I think it passed. The work week, 32 hours.
Why?
And I believe overtime is not taxable now.
Okay.
I'm pissed off.
Why?
I'm fucking salary now.
I'm in.
If now I'm salary. Now they're going to do that shit.
Restructure your contract. Hit them with the NFL.
Yeah.
Hit them with the Joe Burrow.
Trey Henderson. I want to rework my deal.
Just walk in there with like pieces of paper that aren't your employment contract because you probably don't have a copy of it, and just slam it down on the desk. And be like, what the fuck is this?
I'm holding out.
It is symbolic of what we're about to talk about. This is symbolically my employment contract, and now that fucking the Red Dragon is back in the office, I'm pissed.
I'm just saying I'm going to hold out. Maybe tomorrow I'm going to hold out at lunch.
Have a strike, a one-man strike.
Yes.
You know we can continue to do this job without you, right?
Yes.
Like you've already been here for half a day. You've already set everything up. It's already in motion. Your strike is null.
Pretty much. Yeah, but fuck. I can finally get a good paying job, salary. Bad enough I work extra.
I didn't even know you were salary now.
Yeah, I'm salary now. And now they're going to give untaxed overtime, and the work week's 32 hours. Which you still work 40, so 8 hours. You're guaranteed 8 hours overtime every week.
Well, to be fair, it's the hourlies that drive the country.
Yes, it is.
You're not
wrong.
As far as boots on the ground fucking jobs, most of them are still hourly.
Yeah, I mean, You're
Now
not-
it's the whole
I can't
salary
argue that.
thing. Then that's a whole other headache.
Yeah.
You should just be like, the salary people get 4 extra days of PTO, but not the ones that work for Trump plazas. They sign a separate contract that they cannot discuss due to the NDA.
Yeah, but
And then he's going to start calling his opponents' wives ugly, like he does.
only Rosie O'Donnell. That
No, Ted Cruz. He went after
Oh,
Ted
that's
Cruz.
right.
Ted's wife, ugly as a dog.
that still might.
He's got a dog. Shut up! You've got a dog wife, Ted.
That was still, but that debate back in 2016, when I think it was Megyn Kelly, was trying to call him out on calling women pigs and stuff. He said, "Only Rosie O'Donnell."
He really is.
That was classic.
He really is. Like, he's funny, but he really is kind of a piece of shit. Like,
Let's be honest. We all are pieces of shit in some way, shape, or form. His are just magnified a little bit.
well, I mean, everybody's like, look at all the stuff he gets done. I'm like, is that because of his political prowess, or is that because he's a fun hang for other political leaders?
Oh, I would like to hang with him.
Like,
I'd
I
rather
don't
hang-
do cocaine, but there will be cocaine. There will be lots of cocaine, the most cocaine, the best cocaine. Ukraine, cocaine, they go together.
Yeah.
And he's got I love how he says everything 5 times. You're like, how do you feel about your bill that passed? I love the bill. It's the best bill, the greatest bill.
I mean, he's
Proud of the bill.
He's one of a kind. If he's not a great president, at least he's entertaining.
And in 20 years, when my son Barron is old enough to run for the presidency of these United States, I don't do a very good Trump, but it's all about the cadence.
Shane Gillis. We'll say that.
Or, yeah. I think his is the best just because of how many times he says retarded with
Here we
Trump's
go.
voice. Like, I'm just like directly quoting something else. Don't jump down my ass, even though I said it like 9 times last week. But like,
In a matter of 30 seconds.
the amount of times you hear that word in a very good Trump voice is fantastic. Because that's exactly what it's like in the Oval Office when the cameras aren't on.
Probably. Well, but the recorders are always on.
Yeah, okay. Tell that to fucking
Nixon.
Bill Clinton.
Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, don't fuck with Bill. Let's be honest. If you or I were president,
Like, if they had like a Big Brother show for presidents, could you imagine? Like Big Brother After Dark for presidents. They'd be like, all right, that's all the press coverage we will have today. We will see you all at 7:30 in the morning tomorrow. The President Trump needs his rest. He must powder his toupee and put it on his mannequin for the evening. We will see you all in the morning. And they just close the doors. He's like, the New York Times is gay. I fucking hate them.
I think it would be fun to hang out with old Trump. Guaranteed to get some McDonald's.
I feel like he would just say some shit like there would be by 20 minutes in you would just be like, it's just like fucking Theo Von. Dude, when he went on Theo Von, if it wasn't for Theo Von, that would have been an atrocious interview. That was the most boring.
I didn't see Theo.
He talked to him about cocaine and shit. He's like, what is that like? What does it do? And I'm like, I don't believe that shit. First off, I do not fucking believe that Donald Trump has never drank or done drugs.
I mean, it's not. Hey,
You
if,
shitting me?
if Gene Simmons can do it,
Okay.
hey, I'm just.
Yeah, and neither did Liver King.
Well,
Liver King was fucking natty too, huh?
Oh, here we go. I don't give a fuck what.
I don't either, but it's the same fucking thing.
Even though that documentary was pretty good,
It was.
still.
He's really out there, but I found a much more human connection, or not connection, but side of him.
And what
And he is still also full of shit about a lot of the stuff he says. My kids were dying. No, they weren't. They had fucking peanut allergies. Like, just like all the rest of the fucking pussies. The pussy liberals.
here's the thing: what he preaches.
They seem like great kids, though, I will say. Liver King's kids seem like pretty all right kids.
His tenants, ancestral tenants.
The 9 ancestral tenants?
That's not like a bad fucking thing.
No, he's just fucking...
Connecting with nature. I will. If you have to eat raw liver, I'm out. I don't even want cooked liver.
Why does he...
I'm not eating any testicles.
And why does he also cuss like a 13-year-old boy? He just throws fucking in there like nonstop. Like he just cusses. Like I cuss a lot, but like he just repetitively cusses so much.
Well,
like he's like, oh, I'm gonna go walk into this river because I don't bathe normally. I bathe in the fresh water. He's like, as soon as it touches, it's when it touches the dick. When you get up to the dick, and then he's like walks on. He's like, oh, the dick.
I will say, I think the word "fuck" is basically just a comma.
For him?
For me,
yeah, he's like, and all the fucking vegetables, and then I'm on the fucking Instagram, fucking, and then he's like, oh, the freezer's getting low. Can we all go as a family? And not really, like, oh, we're gonna go slaughter this cow that someone shot.
Yeah,
that is the. I'm sorry, that's stupid.
That was a little weird.
It's stupid. Like, we have to go get our food. No, motherfucker, the farmer that raises your cows shot it in the fucking face, and then you guys ran across the field and started cutting it up when it was already fucking dead.
I mean, that was very staged. It wasn't like they went hunting. Like you said,
I know, he's like, he got that big stupid fucking gold Rambo knife cutting its throat, and he's like, thank you, brother. Like, fuck off. Chill out. He did the same thing with the fucking veggies at the end. He's like, thank you, strawberry. If you look, you can see the sun through the perfect strawberry. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, if I take a flashlight to my finger, I can see through my finger.
Yeah, he talks to food like he's Randy Savage. Oh, brother cow, your nutrients, yeah. They're going to bring us great respect for your aura and your beauty. Where's my foreign wife who's totally not terrified of me?
I don't...
The family did look much more...
at peace. I mean,
more together and
did not look
normal.
like hostages. I will say that.
The kids were a little awkward at times. They were a little like, okay, like, especially with the cow killing thing. And he's like, all right, we've slaughtered the cow, or at least cut it up some. I will not be taking part in the fine butchering or the transportation of the cow. I'm going to jump in my big stupid fucking side by side with dumbass giant like 35-inch tires that are 6 inches wide with my wife, and then peel out through the field while the cameras are still watching
and peeling out in mud.
So fucking, it was, dude, like, not a bad doc. Don't think he's as insane as I did, but he's still fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
The whole thing, it was basically like, it was like emotional MTV Cribs. It was like, let me talk about stuff, but then also look at all my cool shit.
Yeah.
Look at all my guns and my swords and my knives and my ATVs. Even because that, there's nothing more ancestral than driving back to your mansion in your fucking gas-powered ATV with your wife after you've... I would assume, like, they're like, oh, yeah, they're talking, like, they're butchering a cow. They probably just hacked it up real bad, and some poor dude in fucking dungarees walked up and was like,
what the fuck
I gotta try to clean this shit up. This is fucking stupid. Yeah. All he did was stab it a bunch.
Yeah, I mean, God love him. I mean, I don't know. And here's, like I said, I don't think, I have a different version of, I don't even care if he was on, I don't even think it's a big deal.
I don't give a fuck that he was on steroids.
He's misleading. No. If you,
I get the side of, like, just fucking be honest, but, like, who gives a fuck that he was? Clearly he was.
Clearly it was, but here's and this
he clearly
is what I've always
had
said
implants.
This is what I've always said about steroids. Even if you take steroids, you have to bust your ass in the gym.
Yeah, he just does a bunch of stupid workout. That fucking whatever that resistance band thing is that you keep seeing him doing, where he's just like,
yeah, man.
He's like crip walking with some fucking resistance bands.
Anyway, yeah, but
and it's always over. Like, I want to hear the actual. I bet you that's the actual fucking audio too.
What?
It's just like the radio playing in the background, and he's like, "Drop it like it's hot," because that's what it looks like he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt the man put the work in the gym
and the surgery table. Hasn't he admitted that he has ab implants? I think he did.
Oh, I thought he denied that, or
I think he admitted to it because he does.
Me too. I had one.
He was like, they were like,
one big ab implant.
they're like, how do you look like that all the time? He's like, I walk around flexed all the time. No, you don't. No, you don't. You would be having cramps and fucking passing out if you walked around flexed at all times.
I mean, I walk around flexed at all times.
Yeah, but you're also not like 2.5% body fat.
What are you trying to say, Travis?
And almost your age.
You're saying I'm fat?
Fatter than him. And he's only like 5'8".
Well, I'm taller than him, so fuck off.
He's like a fucking... He literally is just a dwarf from Lord of the Rings.
I will say one thing. Get a haircut. Trim the fucking beard a little bit.
He can't. He just rubs it on rocks until it comes off. And then he rubs mud through it.
Yeah, I don't know. But it was a good doc. I enjoyed the doc. I mean, I didn't come away thinking he was a total tool, and I didn't come away thinking, oh, he got a bad rap either.
He's definitely not as primal as he, like, fuck off. The primal tenants. Like, you live in a mansion.
Well,
You have fucking a farm. You pay people to raise and then shoot your cows so that you can be on camera chopping them up a little bit.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's the same aspect of like Rage Against the Machine.
It's a great band.
Great band. Anarchy and all stood for it. But now look at them. They live in gated communities. You know,
Oh, yeah.
They are exactly what they railed against.
That's what they all do. I mean, it's
then-
all fun and games until the system works for you.
And you get the money, 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 money.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to be a revolutionary and a multimillionaire.
Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me.
Nobody's
Until you give me multi-millions of dollars.
Nobody's listening to the guy with a country club membership when they're like, you gotta fucking push back against the man. They're like, what the fuck? What man? You're my boss. Don't let the man bring you down. You denied my PTO last week, Ron. Fuck you. Like, that's different.
Apples.
You're thinking locally. You need to think globally.
Okay, you ready to get into this
Like Biodome.
You ready to get into this Uri Geller bullshit?
I guess.
You know-
Like I said, I've heard the name. I don't know how much of this I'm going to know and how much I'm not.
Now, Uri Geller was famous, especially back in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, you're more into these like psychics and shit than me.
And like I said, I love the psychic thing. And I'll be honest, I do believe there is something to psychic ability. Now, does it go as far as this? Probably not.
I feel like if I went to a psychic, I would just be like Matt Damon, Good Will Hunting.
I do not think psychic powers or psychic intuition is like what we think it is. I don't think you get all of a sudden you just get 7 numbers and a Powerball in your head and you win the lottery.
That'd be sick.
I mean, I think it's more open to interpretation.
You think?
Yes. So I've said it on this podcast 1,000 times probably. There is something to psychic powers, but it's not. You're not going to be about 100% on the Super Bowl.
What if it was? What if everything was literal in like the metaphysical world, like tarot cards, the Hydra? What does that mean? Does that mean that I'm gonna battle myself in my own head on different choices I have to make? No, you're literally going to grow 8 more fucking heads, Rebecca. That's what it means.
But Uri Geller was a famous psychic. People in the 70s and 80s saw him on Carson and all that shit.
Soul Train.
But he was born December 20th, 1946 in Tel Aviv. At that point, it was Tel Aviv was a part of the British Mandate of Palestine, which is now Israel.
What a weird name for what is now an Israeli place. Tel Aviv. It sounds like It sounds like a channel that comes on is in the upper 90s on local TV where they're Telemundo. Aquí está los huevos.
But Uri was Austrian-Hungarian, sorry.
Austro-Hungarian? Australopithecus?
Yes, and Russian Jewish.
A Russian Jew? You can't get any tougher than that. They're good at your accounting. They'll fucking drop kick you for no reason.
Geller has always been very... I'm not sure you can believe everything he says.
Huh.
He claimed to be a descendant of Sigmund Freud.
Who was a piece of shit.
Now,
Well, I don't know, either a piece of shit or a total pervert. One of the two.
Probably both. I mean, if you have a thing, Sigmund would have done really good with Pornhub. Stepmom fucking porn would be right in his wheelhouse.
Now, do you think that his fuck, what's the word I'm looking for? His not dissuasive. His you were saying he wasn't totally honest about everything. What's the word I'm looking for here? His tricky nature.
Okay.
About his powers. Do you think that's from the Jewish side of the family?
Why you gotta go there? Watch it. There's gonna be an airstrike on us, so you keep that shit up.
I'm a really big Kanye fan. He's a Nazi now.
Is he?
Apparently.
Sweet. But there's no, like I said, Geller claimed to be a descendant of Sigmund Freud. There's no way to prove it. I guess that DNA test we could do.
I'm a descendant of the guy that Tom Cruise played in The Last Samurai.
However, his mother's name was Margot Freud. And I'm not sure how common is Freud, like Smith in, I don't know, was Freud German or?
I don't know. One of those bad countries. That's just like, I have a pretty unique name, but there's plenty of them out there. No,
but it is, with his mother's name and his heritage, it could be a possibility, I guess.
Margot Freud.
Yeah. At the age of 10, his parents divorced. He moved to Cyprus with his mother and new stepfather.
Oh, so he started swinging. Isn't Cyprus known for like crazy parties and shit? I know Ibiza is.
Well, listen, he helped his stepfather run a hotel on the island. Now, it is believed that this hotel was a front for Mossad.
Dude, I've been hearing a lot about Mossad lately. I heard, go ahead, finish this area of notes and I'll come back to it. No, go ahead.
At the age of 18, he served as a paratrooper in the Israeli Defense Forces. He was wounded during the Six-Day War in 1967.
You got hurt in the 6-Day War?
I mean, what's the odds?
He is L. Ron Hubbard. He fought L. Ron Hubbard.
I will give him this. Paratrooper, fuck them motherfuckers, bad motherfuckers. I ain't jumping out of a fucking plane.
Especially an Israeli one.
Yeah. But, so he is a combat veteran. So
a 6-day combat. I mean, it's more than I've ever seen. I've seen more than 6 days worth of combat with the toilet.
So give him that respect, I guess.
Put some respect on his name.
Between 1968 and 1969, he worked as a male model and started performing his psychic feats. Basically, let's be honest, a magician. Like bending spoons, which is what he's most popular for, bending of the spoons.
Yeah.
With his mind and rubbing them ever so gently.
Hasn't that been like... Haven't they like scientifically proven that like you can just do that?
Well, we'll kind of get into it a little bit more.
Like match like the metal's resonance in the right way and it weakens it. You can just like barely put pressure on it.
Or you could, cut a slit or
try to scoop ice cream with it.
That fucking pisses me off.
Dude, I know. Because then you have that wonky looking spoon that looks like a 70s basketball player's finger.
What pisses me off, you got to put it at eye level to get the spoon in your mouth. You're like this.
Then you just bend it back.
Fuck, that takes so much work. You never get it right. Then it's like this.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. And it does. It looks like a coal miner's hand after that. This is all fucking mangled and weird. It'll never be the same again.
Okay, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was listening to an interview with John McAfee.
The guy I like to be shit on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which allegedly, I haven't watched that documentary. I need to. But allegedly, that documentary and all of those accusations were bullshit, according to him. Allegedly, they were all slander from the Belizean government.
Oh, of course they were.
Because he was in Belize at the time, and I guess they wanted a quote-unquote charitable donation of $2 million from him.
Well, that's not much for him.
And he even said, he was like, a smart man would have said, of course, here's $4.
Yes.
And he was like, but I'm not a smart man. And he told him to fuck off. And then like they started like raiding his compound in Belize and like shot his dog in the head in front of him, according to him. And like he's like having fucking, he's like basically he was saying he was going to war, but he was talking about Mossad.
Yeah.
And like apparently they are as bad as everybody says they are. He said he would fire 6 security guys, or what was it? I think it was 5. I think he said they were talking to him, and they were like, "So how much does a Mossad troop cost you these days?" And he was like, "About 5 times as much as a normal good security guard." He was like at least $250,000 a year.
Really?
And they were like, Jesus Christ. And he was like, I would fire 5 security team members in order to put their income together to hire one a former Mossad guy.
Huh.
Yeah.
I mean, apparently the Mossad, they're bad at mammy jammas. You don't want to fuck with them.
Yeah, apparently he had, what was it, Guatemala, I think he fled to when he left Belize. I think he fled to Guatemala. Apparently he had the Guatemalan Attorney General as his representation. I don't know how the fuck you pull that off. So
basically what you're telling me, though, is he didn't like to be shit on.
According to him, he said nay. Nay
on the shitting, yes on the pissing. He was fond of the gold.
He was not shy about talking about pussy and stuff, like when asked. But yeah, he's an out there dude. Very interesting. Very not very multimillionaire-esque compared to a lot of people you would hear talk.
Think,
yeah. But yeah, according to him, Mossad's that cool.
I mean,
pretty cool guys. If you're into like cutting people's faces off in front of their family to get information.
I mean, when you live under that much threat, I think you would get good at that kind of shit. I guess everybody wants to kill you. You develop a pretty good fighting force.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily play completely by the Geneva Convention.
Yeah.
But, it's not my part of the world. I don't give a fuck.
Not right now.
I'm not Jewish.
It will be.
I'm not Jewish.
It will be one day when the axis turns, and then next thing you know, we got the Jew world order coming in hot.
Even though I'm starting to think, my mother you look at my biological father, he looked a little Jewish. Maybe I am a little Jewish. I don't know.
He was a tricky little fucker.
Tricked me with them butterfingers every fucking time.
That'd be great though if the Jews took over the world, made everybody else wear armbands and shit. Like, are you gonna put us in camps? No, we're better than you. But here's your armband, just so you can get a little taste. Happy Merry Christmas, Rebecca. Get the fuck out of my face. Get the fuck out of my face.
I think there's too many rules to follow with Judaism, I believe.
There's too many rules for either of us to follow with any religion.
That is true.
Except maybe Pastafarianism.
I think maybe we should. I've always said, let's start our own religion. Apparently, that's where you make the real money. We'll Joel Osteen that shit.
That's how you get your door kicked in. We're starting a religion. Is it a branch off of Catholicism or Christianity? No. Terrorist group?
No. I think we branch off, take some around Hubbard shit.
Scientology?
Yeah, we'll branch off to that. Fucking Zimu or whatever.
Algebrology. We'll just take another school subject and make it into an ology. Literology. Physical science, Scientology. Biology.
We'll say that, like marinology. We'll say that the real creator of the universe is at the bottom of the ocean.
It's Cthulhu.
Yes.
We could worship Cthulhu. That'd be sick. We basically be like land pirates. We get those salt life stickers on our cars, even though we live in a landlocked fucking state.
Yeah.
At least when... what about the Great Lakes? That's not salt water, stupid, you fuck. I hate that shit. People are like, oh, gotta have the salt life. Bitch, you are an accountant and you live in Ohio. You don't even know how to fish.
I don't even like salt water.
I watched your 9-year-old daughter take a fish off of your hook.
I don't like the ocean that much.
It's pretty dope if you go somewhere like super nice and tropical. The Bahamas was a much better experience than Florida. I will say that. The water was super clear. Like you could just literally just see the bottom when we walked. Dude, did I tell you when we got to the Bahamas? Like the first thing I saw, like we got to the beach pretty early, and there was a baby fucking sea turtle just winging around in the shallows right in front of the seats. That were our seats. Yeah, I was like this. This isn't real. This isn't real. And it was just blue.
I don't see what people get so excited about the beach and the ocean for. Sand gets everywhere.
That's true.
Nothing worse than I'd rather have swamp ass than sand ass.
I didn't have sand ass. I just had sandy feet. The worst part was like it rubbed my feet raw in a couple places because I was wearing slides and had to wear them all the way back to the boat. That was the worst part, honestly. But I didn't give a fuck. I had my tits out. I was walking around fucking souvenir shops with my boobies out, like just like vacay. I'm like looking at people like, what are you gonna do? You're Bahamian or fucking Dominican. What are you gonna judge me? I make shit money back home, but here I'm a goddamn god. Like I'll be like, oh, here's $1. Bring me back a car.
You're bad. All right, let's get back to Uri Geller.
Did he have a redneck accent? That'd be great.
No.
My name is Uri Geller.
He claimed to discover his powers at the age of 5 when he bent a spoon by accident while eating soup.
Was it frozen soup because he was in Russia?
Or hot soup. And it just melted the spoon. I don't know.
Or did he grow up in fucking Chernobyl?
Probably.
The fuck?
The motherfucker was glowing.
What kind of soup is nuclear reactor stew? Has 3 eyes.
Now, there were reports of strange mental abilities as a youth as well. But
he
like
just
I said,
jacked off a lot.
Well, once you start, you don't stop.
Once you pop, you can't stop.
It's like a bag of fucking Lay's potato chips. Fuck them.
That's Pringles. Once you pop, Pringles? You can't stop. Yeah.
Oh, is Lay's you just can't have one, or what? Lay's has something to that effect, too.
I think STDs is you just can't have one.
Oh. Is that
Lay's is like...
Well, I'm going to say, if you're going to get...
Lay's is like really good, but still overrated.
What? Okay, side topic.
Let's talk chips.
Lay's potato chips.
Okay.
Why are Ruffles so much better than this?
I think it's...
Do you agree
Follow me here.
Do you not agree with this?
Yes, follow me here. I think there's a scientific thing behind this. I've thought about this.
Okay. So have I.
Because I think it's the same as like if you've ever had a regular shaped chip that is sour cream and onion versus sour cream and onion ruffle.
It's completely different.
Here's my fat kid theory. Follow me. Everybody strap on your KFC bucket hats and follow me down this rabbit hole. I think that within the production of the chip itself, while they're seasoning the chips, the Ruffles allow for a culmination of seasoning or salt within them
to get
vis-a-vis a canyon getting silty deposit at the bottom of it. Whereas there might be sandy dirt at the top of the plateau.
Right.
Things drift down and they clump together. If there's any moisture, oil from being fried, then it attaches to that. And with every ridge, you have a concentration of flavor or salt buildup within those ridges.
That makes sense. That tracks. I can get
I've thought about this before. I'm that fat
because just a
fuck up some chips.
Regular Lay's potato chip, just flat.
They're good, but like right, they're like what I want on a plate with like a burger and a dog at a fucking random ass.
But you give me a bag of Ruffles.
Just fucking
just plain Ruffles. I will tear that. I will eat my way to the bottom and maybe come out eat the bag.
You know, we were also just talking about this recently at work about how, excuse me, I've noticed a lot of at least suburban and higher level white people don't have the proper chip technique.
What is the proper chip
You open
technique?
the bottom of the chips.
I've done it by accident.
You know, you do it with every bag of chips, especially seasoned ones, because all of the seasoning settles at the bottom and you flip it over and it all just trickles down and you open and eat from the bottom. So you get super seasoned chips. And as you're eating it, the extra loose seasoning just falls throughout the rest of the bag.
You've thought about this a lot.
I'm fucking fat and I'm not like sugar fat. I'm like salty treat fat.
You're preaching to the choir here. I will try that next time I have a bag of chips.
Yeah, do it. Especially, it's specifically like seasoned flavored chips, like Grippos. Always start. But Grippos are different. Grippos you can shake and you can hear if like some of them have more seasoning.
The only problem with Grippos,
or at least shake your bags of chips. But I'm also a big believer in shaking your Gatorade.
Me too.
It wakes up the flavors. A shaken Gatorade tastes better than
open up, let it breathe.
Than a flat Gatorade.
All right.
It realistically, it's probably just like the bubbles causing the aroma, like a beer or a wine. What's your opinions on salt and vinegar chips?
I do not like them.
I like a good salt and vinegar.
But like, we've had, I think
it's risky to say.
Last episode, we talked about how I do not like white creamy stuff. Sour cream, sour cream, I don't like onions necessarily.
But you like sour cream and onion chip?
I can eat a sour cream and onion chip.
Have you ever had sweet Maui onion Grippos?
No.
They taste like sour cream and onion chips for a refined palate.
Like, what is it? Sour or cheddar and sour cream or whatever.
Yeah.
I can eat. Those are one of my favorite potato chips of all time.
Or speaking just in the Grippos world, anybody that doesn't live anywhere near the Cincinnati area is an idiot because you can't have Grippos. Grippos aren't even like, they're all right, but they also have a horseradish and cheddar one. Dude, it's crazy. You take a bite and it's like really horseradish forward. Like it'll burn your nostrils a little bit. And then at some point science comes in somehow and it just literally like, you're like, that's a lot of horseradish. And then like the next chew, it's just gone and it's all like cheddar flavor. Huh. They're mind boggling. They're like Dr. Strange chips.
They morph in your mouth.
Yeah. They're like Animorphs, but chips. You remember those stupid books from the 90s that had the kids turning into rats and shit?
Mm-hmm. I do.
I had like 12 of them. I never read a single one. It was a cultural phenomenon.
Yeah.
It was like Beanie Babies with pages.
All right, let's get back to old Uri and his rise to fame.
No more chip talks, you fat fucks. Idiots.
Yeah. Anyway.
Let's just do a food podcast.
Yeah, a food podcast.
We can do it. Just sit here and be like, today we're eating 5 for 5 from Arby's. Mediocre. Gonna have to have diarrhea later. Today we're eating White Castle. Mediocre. Gonna have diarrhea later.
I think when I said earlier he was a male model, I think that was basically just him being a magician.
A male model. You don't hear about too many Russian Jewish male models.
Yeah, but you
don't hear about Adrian Brody walking the fucking.
It sounds to me like he actually was the David Blaine of the '60s and early '70s.
So he was awkward.
Pretty much.
He's the most awkward human being ever.
But he would, in his shows or whatever, he would demonstrate spoon bending, telepathy. He gained attention from scientists and media figures interested in his paranormal phenomenon that was going on around him.
So he was the European Warrens.
Now he moved, eventually it just grew. He got a following. In 1972, he moved to Europe and then into the US.
Wait, where was he before?
He was probably in Israel.
Is Israel not Europe?
I do not think so. Israel's Middle East.
Isn't part of the Middle East in Europe?
I do not think so. Europe,
geography is not my thing.
Europe,
here.
Asia, Middle East.
Well, also, let's be real. Those borders have probably changed quite a few times since then.
I'm pretty sure
it might be Asia. I don't
know. Israel is in the Middle East.
Yeah, but the Middle East isn't a continent.
It might be.
There's Europe and Asia. I'm gonna look it up. It doesn't matter. I'm just fucking curious.
I don't know. Okay. I don't know. Anyway, like I said, he moved to Europe and then eventually made his way to the U.S. He was featured on prominent TV shows, like The Tonight Show.
No, it's West Asia.
I was right. Damn. What a guess on my part.
Well, I don't think you ever said Asia. You said the Middle East.
Well, the Middle East, but Asia's right. Asia comes down.
All those bad people over there, they're all together.
Fuck them. But he started making, appearances on shows, even in Europe. There's shows which are fucking awesome to watch. I watched something. I was like, God, we could do a better job, and we suck.
Dude, I love watching foreign TV shows.
But you know,
like just clips at least.
he would eventually made his way. He was on Johnny Carson. He sparked Johnny's interest.
What the little motherfuckers? My car's parked over there. Yeah, we're good.
Fucking kids. Now Johnny, this is a funny story. Jesus, were they beating the shit out of the kid or what? Well, kid's obviously upset about
Yeah, that doesn't sound good.
That's more than just, that's a nice, healthy cry. Anyway.
There's more than one. It'll be all right.
Fuck 'em.
That's not a I'm incredibly injured cry. That's...
I don't know. I wonder if the mics are picking this shit up. Where are they at?
I don't know. I can't see them.
That's what they get for riding the little fucking...
I'm just saying, like, that's a pretty long cry for a kid around here.
That's what they get for riding their scooters. Like crazy people. The dog is inside, right? Maybe
Yeah.
Maybe the dog ate him.
I didn't hear any otof kids making any crazy noises, so I doubt anything super tragic happened. I think somebody just ate shit on a scooter.
Probably.
But that first one kind of was like, well, fuck. See something, say something.
Now,
Fuck them kids.
Johnny, his appearance on...
Watch, he's going to be knocking on the door. Like, please, for the love of God, help us. Like,
Fuck off. Johnny had performed magic, so he was a little skeptical. Johnny Carson.
yeah, because Johnny Carson was a real fucking magician himself.
He set a little trap for old Uri.
Oh, you sly son of a bitch. I think, was this televised?
Yes.
I think I've seen this.
Uri did not know he was going to bring out some stuff.
Stuff?
To try to test his powers.
Some cocaine?
No, like he naturally brought spoons, but he had some little a bunch of containers, and some of them were filled with water. Let's just say it didn't quite go Uri's way. He
drank the one that was full of pee.
He could not pretty much do anything, and his excuse was, "I'm just not feeling it." Which,
see, that's the nice part about being a fucking magician and shit is you can say that. Yeah. You're like the auras in the room are just not proper for this.
But with all his appearances on other shows, which they always say, here's the thing. Some of, I watched a couple of them, and some of them actually, this is not, you supplied this, whatever, he didn't, if they're on the up and up, some of the shit's very interesting. Like the spoon bending, there's way too much going on there.
Yeah.
I think, and we're going to get, here's the thing, the spoon bending and some of this other shit,
especially considering, like, if it's just like a normal spoon, like, yes, you would be able to tell that I'm doing it, but like, I could definitely take a lot of normal spoons and just fucking bend them over with my thumb. So if there's some science behind it to make it easier, that's pretty easy to fake.
This kind of stuff is too magician-y. You know what I'm saying? I know that's not a word, but I'm
too magical.
Yes, it's more David Lynch. We know it's not real. There's ways they do. There's tricks to the trade.
Yeah, they made a fucking TV show about it in like the early 2000s.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah, with the guy with the really weird mask,
the wrestler mask or whatever. Yeah.
It looked like it. Did you ever see?
They did wrestling too.
Did you ever see the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers?
Not the.
If you look up a putty from the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the guy from the Magician's Secrets Revealed looks like a putty that was not completed.
But so I don't put a lot of credit. Maybe he is doing it with his mind. Fuck, I don't know.
But he's also probably not.
There's too much. I've seen too much. Some of, like David Blaine, some of his shit, and David Copperfield and all these, Chris Angel, some of their shit is like, how the
mind free?
How the fuck did you do that? Kind of stuff. I mean,
Chris Angel's the only person to take the awkward badge from David Blaine in the last like 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, some of that shit is, how the fuck did they do that? I know there's a way they did it. I know it's not real. So some of his shit, now we're going to get to some other shit that is interesting, and there is possibility he did have some psychic powers, and we're going to talk about it eventually. We'll get to it, but where was I going with this? Oh,
published books.
That's right. He did. I was skipping over that. He did draw the interest of.
You're telling me that you don't think that his books are credible enough to be evidenced in this story?
Yeah. His Sigmund Freud genealogy book was not fucking in my top reads.
They were all fucking animated and had pop-ups and shit.
Yeah. He did draw the interest of a renowned scientist, I guess, at the time, Andrea Prodigy, I guess. Prodigy or whatever. They collaborated in the early 70s.
Why is it spelled differently the second time?
I don't know.
Well, Puharich?
Puharich, I guess.
I feel like I've heard that name. Maybe that's the correct spelling.
That's probably it. I probably just copied and pasted some of it, so maybe, whatever. I don't know. But they did collaborate in the 70s, and
Andrea's pussy bitch.
It was very famous and very controversial.
Oh.
When it comes to paranormal research. Now, he was a weird kind of, most scientists don't get into paranormal, parapsychology and...
Yeah, because they probably get laughed out of the room by
especially back in the 70s. Yeah. So you got to give a man respect for that. God love him. Who was this, whatever his name? Andrea. He's a medical doctor, inventor, and parapsychologist. So, obviously a well-educated man.
To some extent,
he was known for his deep interest in ESP, psychokinesis, and the communing with non-human entities, or intelligences, I'm sorry.
Aliens.
Keep this in fucking mind. Foreshadowing. Remember this.
Kind of saw this one coming.
Andrea met Uri in Israel around 1971. He became convinced that Geller possessed genuine psychic abilities. So he fell for the spoon trick.
Were these two fucking?
Maybe.
It would make it easier to believe that he bought into this shit.
Yeah, he brought Geller to the United States for more testing. Geller was tested in a few different locations. One of them was the Stanford Research Institute. Now, by the scientists Hal Puthoff and Russell Targ. Now, if you watch back before Travis came along, I did a remote viewing episode, which we might get into again. This was funded, Puthoff and Targ, and the research that was done at Stanford Research Institute was funded by the CIA. So this was a legitimate government program.
Was Russell Targ purple of eye and silver of hair?
Yes, he's basically legally blind. One of them got them big glasses.
He's a Targaryen.
Oh, yeah.
You son of a bitch.
But anyway, Geller was also tested at the Lawrence Livermore Laboratory in a more formal capacity.
An informal capacity?
Informal, you're right, I'm sorry.
The Lawrence Livermore Laboratory definitely doesn't sound as formal as the Stanford Research Institute.
Some of the stuff that they did at Stanford, I'll get into in a minute. Andrea documented what he believed were verifiable instances of Geller demonstrating telekinesis and ESP, including the bending of metal objects without physical force. It is said I think Geller claims he can actually turn any metal into gold.
Oh, fuck off.
I'm going to call bullshit. You'd be the richest man alive.
Yeah, you literally eat a fat sack of dicks.
Exactly. Let's see.
I can turn any fast food into steaming piles of shit. Nobody gives a fuck, do they? Dr.
Andrea claimed that during their sessions, Geller acted as a medium for non-human intelligences. He wrote that a voice identifying itself as spectra, a form of alien or higher intelligence, would speak through Geller.
What language?
Probably fucking English. Or Israeli, whatever the Israelis speak. I don't know. These messages were often channeled in trance-like states and had a technological extraterrestrial tone to them. What the fuck does that mean?
Is it dubstep?
I don't know.
He was like, "We will come to your planet." Wah, 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 wah.
The old great credible scientist Andrea felt that this suggested that Geller's powers were being monitored and enhanced by the beings from another dimension or planet.
Do you think that this might be something along the lines of was it Chris Bledsoe? See, every once in a while I actually ask a legitimate question.
That's an interesting... We might want to cover that, the Bledsoe family, at some point.
I'd be down. His kids are still around. He's dead, isn't he?
I don't know about that.
He might not be.
I know his son, one son has a podcast.
I've heard his daughter, his daughter, and his son speak.
Yeah.
And they all, like, corroborate the shit.
Yeah,
You'd think one of his kids would be like, nah, he's full of shit.
And whenever the government gets involved...
To the point that they became friends with a government agent and shit.
Yeah.
Would come over to their house for fucking Thanksgiving and shit.
There is something to what's going on. That does lend a little bit of credit.
Well, and even Danny Jones, when Danny Jones was with him, he said, like, whatever it is, be it fake or legitimate or what, he even said, he was like, no, I was with him and I saw the shit.
Yeah.
Pretty much on command. He was like, whatever it is, even if it's staged, it is really happening.
Something's happening. Yeah, that's a fascinating
I think Danny
story.
Jones actually. I think you can find video from when Danny Jones was with him. Not to like fucking dick ride on the Danny Jones podcast, but like that's where I've heard the longest form conversations with Chris Bledsoe and his family.
I think Bledsoe made the son. Is Chris the son or Chris the dad?
Chris is the dad, isn't it?
I don't know. I don't know. I know I've heard the son on like. What's his name?
What, Rogan?
Comedian.
Ari Shaffir?
No.
Theo Vaughn?
Tripoli. Sam Tripoli's.
Oh, God. That does... I hate to be a hater, but, like, in a lot of ways, that does not add legitimacy to your story. Sam Tripoli talks about some pretty out there shit.
The Bledsoe was on there. That's where I first got introduced to the Bledsoe story. Anyway, this whole... extraterrestrial being trance naturally at the time. Now today it might be different. You might get a little credibility, but they lost a little bit of credibility in the scientific community. Excuse me. Or the mainstream scientific community with this claim. Basically, critics always believed that Geller was just a skilled performer.
Yeah, Chris Bledsoe's the dad.
Okay. I don't know what the son's name is.
Drew?
Maybe. But critics always have said and always will say Geller was a skilled performer using illusions like Chris Angel, David Blaine, all these guys, and sleight of hand tricks, basically. Scientists felt that finding...
Chris Bledsoe Jr.
Oh, maybe that's who. I don't know.
He died?
Who? The junior?
Yeah.
No. Oh, did he?
I think so. I think he died in 2023.
Like I said, I know one of them had a podcast. Maybe that's why I haven't heard.
Go ahead.
Listen to the podcast. Anyway.
If that's him.
Naturally.
Christopher Critter Bledsoe Jr. Oh. Georgia.
Oh, very interesting.
This is for another. If that's the right Chris Bledsoe Jr., I didn't fucking know that.
No.
I just listened to him talking about the shit like a year. Well, I listened to it a year ago. It doesn't mean it's from a year ago.
But this whole Spectre alien narrative, like I said earlier, really fucking casts doubt on the legitimacy of this shit.
That'll do it.
I think personally, they both were just fans of 007.
And also,
wasn't the Spectre the bad organization, the criminal organization?
Oh, I haven't seen all the 007 movies.
I think Spectre is the organization that Bond's fighting against.
Yeah, I didn't start with James Bond until Pierce Brosnan.
Well, even today.
I watched like two of them.
I think even
like that Aston Martin's cool.
One of the last movies was called Spectre.
Oh, I don't fucking know.
I think so.
All I know from any of the recent ones is Skyfall.
They do have some of the worst songs.
And also, personal opinion, I feel like these entities would not give you a name. They'd just be like, don't fucking worry about it. Why do you give a shit what my name is? Just listen to me, stupid.
I agree.
I legitimately feel like I would possibly get a little more believability out of it. They're like, no, they never gave us a name. Or they said it and we couldn't pronounce it.
Where am I? Okay. Now let's talk a little bit more about the Stanford Research Institute, where he did some work with Puthoff and Targ. Like I said, this was a legitimate research for remote viewing and telekinesis and all this shit. Now, and mainly because the CIA backed the government, and this program went on for, there are some believe that it is still going on to this day. And it's a kind of a funny story. You know how this got started, right? This whole remote viewing thing. They heard that the Russians, you gotta remember, prime Cold War. The Russians were interested in remote viewing and trying to get psychic spies, Basically, that concept.
Oh, I figured it was probably from earlier than that, but yeah,
God only knows when it really started.
It's probably been going on for millennia.
But in the 70s and 80s, but it has, I forget the exact date when they said they stopped doing it, but there are some to believe. I know it went up well into the 80s, probably early 90s, if I had to guess, if I remember correctly. And there's some believe, like I said, it's still going on today.
There was a dude, wasn't the dude or a dude involved with the Chris Bledsoe thing part of that program?
I don't think so.
Because that was more recent than that, I think.
No, I don't think so. They mainly dealt with, remote viewing is basically, for those of you who don't know, going somewhere in your mind.
Yeah.
They've
allegedly used it to find like POWs and information. And
there's one story of, and maybe we'll cover, there's a couple big time, are very popular, that were really good remote viewers, especially back in the early days. I think Price was one of them. David Price, or I forget the
something.
They say he probably was the best remote viewer ever. But the Men Who Stare at Goats with George Clooney.
Yeah,
that was basically based on this whole research.
I would use that power for the stupidest shit. I'd just be like, the remote's under the left seat.
Exactly. They did things like to test it. They went to they had them go in their mind, in their mind's eye, I guess, or whatever. Give them coordinates and go see what they draw what they saw or tell what they saw.
Like David from Evil.
Right. So I think it was Price. Like I said, was probably one of the better ones. It's been so long. It's been a few years since I researched this. They gave him coordinates. He went there, and he went in somewhere, went into like a building. He described a building, described like a room with a filing cabinet, looked inside the filing cabinet, and wrote down what he saw, like words of what he saw. And apparently they got raided by the fucking FBI because basically the words were covert. I think they were covert operation names of some of their operations, and they thought for sure they had a mole somewhere. So there is some, and I think Price was actually, if I'm not mistaken, he was either a sheriff. He's a cop. I think he might have been a sheriff, but he would use his intuition, his gut, if you will, a la NCIS Gibbs, and catch criminals. Kind of, and I think they did find a plane in Africa, I believe, went down the rainforest.
Oh, that reads. I was literally going to say, like, how many times did these inklings just happen to be around somebody he pulled over that was black?
I think the Russians lost a plane, a high-tech plane, and I think they used remote viewers, might have been Price, to find it before and get it before the Russians. The Russians didn't know exactly where it went down either, and there was a kind of like the hunt for Red October kind of thing. They were in a race to find it.
Old Robert Redford.
Was
that Robert Redford?
Hunt for Red October was Sean Connery and Alec Baldwin.
Okay,
maybe.
Sean Connery's dead, right?
Yes.
He sleeps with the fishes.
I like to give the old women a little. They all deserve a little smack every now and then. All right.
He was in some very not that great movies that everybody thinks is great.
Yeah, I agree. Now,
the best thing he ever did was The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. And that movie fucking sucked.
Now, Geller wasn't. See, it's kind of weird. You don't really hear a lot about Geller. He didn't spend. He was only there for about a year, from 72 to 73. A lot of the tests that the scientists put off and Targ did with him were kind of like, they would draw something, or somebody would draw something, put it in an envelope, and
it's like the type of shit you see in the movies,
right? And have him
tell him what it is,
draw what it is,
yeah.
and tell what it is, and it gradually progressed to being like in a different room, and then it across town, another part of the country.
Yeah,
and I did see some of the drawing, and both drawings, and I have to say some of them I was like, okay, somebody had to fucking tell him.
We've been here for a year, Harold. You'd think by this time you'd be better at drawing dicks.
But
how many times do you think that had to happen? They had to have drawn a big fat dick on one of these pieces of paper, but like, draw what you see.
Not everybody is as immature as us.
I don't give a fuck. Everybody's that immature. It had to have happened one time.
Now,
like he took off the blindfolds and they're like, Uri's gay.
Uri also had ability to affect physical things, like broken watches. Apparently, he could fix, just by
Mr. Miyagi and that shit.
In it. But
so he's Swiss now.
Yes, so he could fix some things. Now, if I remember the story, I didn't write it down, but they had. At this institute, they were doing research.
You think he could fix McDonald's fucking ice cream machine?
Fuck no, nobody can fix that.
Not even Uri Geller can save this from that debacle.
They were building they had some kind of contraption. I don't know exactly what it was, encased in something, and in a room that was filtered to where nothing could get in. No sound, no EMFs, no anything could get in.
What the fuck was it? Jesus?
Well, no, some kind of condenser.
The Tesseract.
Yes, exactly. And apparently they had sensors on it, so they knew if something.
This is some real like national treasure shit.
Exactly. And apparently the story goes,
Uri and Jones over here.
He was able to affect it through all this, and it frustrated the powers. The graduate assistant who designed it. He thought it was just a glitch. Apparently, he was able to replicate it several times, and actually get him do it on command. They would say, "Okay, do this," and it would happen.
So he was basically Good Will Hunting, and the guy that made this room was the Twinkie assistant guy that got mad every time he solved something.
Yeah. Yes, pretty much. So that's kind of interesting. There could be an explanation for it. I don't fucking know.
And it could just be tall tales. We don't fucking know. That's the problem with this shit is like, there is no way to prove it. Even if they have proof, they're going to be like, no, we're the government. Fuck you.
Now, they didn't do a lot of remote viewing type, having him, I'm gathering. You don't hear a lot about it, of him going and actually remote viewing. Like, I forget it. There was two famous remote viewers. Pat Price was one of them. Yeah, Pat Price was his name. And then the other one was some foreign name. Maybe we'll talk about them, do an episode on those two. But one of them, I think, it wasn't Pat Price, it was the other one. Actually, they had him remote view Jupiter.
For what?
Just to go there. And here's the thing. If I'm not mistaken, he told, when he came or wrote down whatever, Jupiter has rings. He said it had rings before any astronomer knew it had rings. He said it, and I think I might be wrong about this, but I think he even had the exact number of moons. And moons apparently haven't been found, but I know the rings. We did not know Jupiter had rings at the time.
Isn't Titan one of the moons of Jupiter?
I think so.
Is that Saturn? I think it's Jupiter.
I think it's Jupiter.
We could do a whole episode on that.
Phobos. Isn't Phobos
probably
one of them?
Bilbo.
I mean, we'll do another episode maybe on Pat Price and all that shit. But remote viewing's fascinating. And what's fascinating is they fucking researched it for so fucking long. The government they'll throw money at a lot, but they won't do it for years and years unless you're producing something. You know what I'm saying?
Like they're a squad. The CIA is like, we have no intelligence about all of our enemies, and to brief us on this intelligence is the people who have brought us this intelligence, ladies and gentlemen, a very exclusive group, vis-a-vis Delta Force, but without guns. We introduce to you the remotards.
Now
they walk in like Monsters Inc.
You ever seen Now You See Me?
Yeah.
You know how the what's his name, Morgan Freeman character?
Yeah.
There was actually a man that did that. He was a magician that went around to debunk all this shit. Mm-hmm. A man by the name of James Randi.
That's a made up name.
He was a magician, and he made a living and loved to basically give away the fucking tricks. Call bullshit on some of these magicians and guys like Uri.
I grew up in the Italian part of Brooklyn. They call me Jimmy Boner.
Do you remember when we were talking about Johnny Carson, how Johnny kind of sabotaged him? And that was all at the behest of Mr. Randi. Randi said, okay, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this.
How are you a magician and a skeptic? I guess I was skeptic to shit like that.
Of the parapsychology stuff.
Okay.
But apparently he was... Randi did reproduce several of Geller's tricks, like sleight of hand, claiming Geller was a clever illusionist.
Probably.
And like the spoon bending thing, yes, there's 1,000 different ways you could do that to get it to make it brittle, essentially. Whether it be thin it down, file it down a little bit, make it a little thinner, or even put a little cut in it to where you shake it, eventually it's gonna break.
Yeah.
But maybe he was fucking bending the spoon with his mind. Hey, if it can happen in the Matrix, it can happen in real life. The Matrix is a documentary.
It is. At least the first two.
I'm pretty sure Keanu Reeves can bend spoons and dodge bullets
and give his seat on the subway to old ladies
and kick everybody's ass.
He is John Wick too.
Yes. And don't kill his dog.
Never.
Or fuck with his, what was it? What's the name of that Mustang? What was it? That was a McQueen Mustang. And what was the name of that? What's that? It has a name.
In what?
The car that, what's his name, stole.
Gone in 60 Seconds?
No, in the first, yes, it's the same car, I think.
Eleanor,
yes. I think that the car that John Wick's car, I think it was a replica or an Eleanor.
A GT500.
Yeah, same color. I think. I don't.
GT500 fastback.
Yeah.
All my friends on Rhino skill. I'm gonna go fuck Angelina Jolie in a Ferrari. Everybody else almost get arrested. I'm going to give everybody the really hard stuff in public places. I'm going to go to private places to steal cars, even though I'm the best.
Now, there are some, like the Stanford Research Institute, I think some of the research is very credible.
Some of it's got to be. It's a research institute.
They were physicists that approached it scientifically.
Yeah.
No, but there's still those hard... the Flint Dibbles of the fucking world that always, don't matter if it ain't black and white. It's either black or white. There's no gray.
I'm still convinced Flint Dibbles, 2 11-year-olds standing on each other's shoulders.
Or a dog. 2 dogs.
Yeah. He used Scooby and Shaggy.
But there are those scientists that just no matter what, this is not even in their realm of plausible.
No shit.
Even though
because it violates the laws of science.
Does it really though? Think about it. Physics. Think about what we're learning. We learn about physics every year.
Yeah, but within at the time what science said was the capability of the human mind and body. But that's at the time, especially 100%.
That's the problem with, that's the problem with academia. They are right. We are right here, right now.
They are not my hero. It's an anime joke.
They can't think if it can't be proven right now, but things get proven every year.
Yeah.
Something else happens, and we know more about physics now than what we did 20, 30 years ago.
That's why Graham Hancock's right. Even though I just listened to a guy that was talking about it and said that he's been convinced almost the entire time that Graham Hancock's been relevant that he's a British plant.
Probably. So there's always room for okay, maybe the bending of the spoon.
Ow!
Maybe there's something going on there in the world of physics that we're just not quite privy to, or we don't quite grasp yet.
I could have swore I saw something where it's like depending on what the spoon is made of, like because he would rub it, wouldn't he?
Yeah,
wasn't that kind of thing? Because I could have swore there was something where like a certain softer metal, like you can basically like do that at the right friction and the right speed to like cause a frequency within the metal that moves the molecules of the spoon just enough to weaken it that you can just kind of slowly push it down further and further. But I'm no scientist.
We're not even getting to the real bullshit session of this. Now,
did you say something about Epstein?
No. Now,
then
Geller,
what for what purpose?
Like Geller, like any good man would do when you question his credibility.
He fucked Randy's wife.
No, he just he lawyered up and started suing everybody.
Fair. It's defamation.
He would sue individuals, publications like James Randi, Time Magazine, and others over accusations of fraud.
He J-lo'd him.
Many cases were dismissed or settled without success for Geller. How are you going to prove that?
But I mean, if it worked as a leave me the fuck alone, then it worked.
Let's see. He claimed to have consulted for oil companies, finding mineral rights. Finding oil, finding.
Ever work for the Musks?
Apparently, we know he did spend a little time at Stanford Research, like I said. Oh. So he did do some work for the CIA.
Naturally,
he did some work for Mossad. He was
Israeli.
A mental assassin. He would remote view and kill people. I don't know.
Could you imagine that shit? You just got that bitch.
You're dead.
So he's basically like, he's like a less manly version of Crocodile Dundee.
Right. Now, all
the water buffalo.
All these claims are basically unverified, except for the Stanford research. That we know he was there. We know they tested him. And they seem to, their take on him was he did possess some kind of psychic ability.
The CIA said that?
Well, the Stanford
Stanford
which was a CIA test.
It was a front.
Right. They were reporting to the CIA and the government.
Fair enough.
Their findings.
It's basically the MIT of being a weirdo.
Yes. I wrote numerous books on psychic abilities, self-help, and autobiography.
Self-help? What the fuck makes you a self-help expert?
Because he can fucking do things.
If you're not a shitty piece of shit like everybody else and you're more cool like me, you can control your life to be awesome.
There's a fucking fly.
I know. I just seen the little bastard.
Fucking aggravating me.
Hold on. I'll Mr. Miyagi, that son of a bitch.
You want some baskets?
Bare hands. What if I just stood here like this and eventually just went, and I got the little fucker?
He appeared on many shows, reality shows, talk shows throughout the 90s and 2000s. Now, here's where we're going to get a little...
Gonzo's here.
Good for... Hey, Gonzo, what's up? Here's where we're going to get fucked. I threw this in because this is... I find this so fucking funny because...
He missed the scientific breakdown of why ruffles are better.
Yes, that's the real takeaway from this podcast.
That is the most important subject so far.
Now, Uri, my man...
Was Uri his full name? Just out of curiosity.
That's the only name I've seen.
Okay. Legitimate question, actually.
I never really looked any problem.
Maybe he chose that name. What his name's like fucking Ted?
I don't know.
Like, why'd you change your name? Because nobody's going to respect a psychic named Ted. Nobody's going to go get their palm read by the great Ted.
Now, like I said, this is where I
gave Gonzo gave his number to a waitress at Chili's.
Good job, Gonzo.
I've met a lot of people at Chili's. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I've only been to Chili's maybe 2 or 3 times in my life, and I don't think I saw anybody.
I like Chili's for being affordable.
I don't think I've ever seen anybody worthy of giving my phone number.
I don't know if I've ever seen anybody at any restaurant, at least bartenders wise, that like to me openly talk shit about their job and their coworkers as much as people at Chili's. Granted, I'm a little more tuned into that shit because I'm in the restaurant industry. Like, I'm always paying attention to what restaurant workers are doing when I go out to eat, just because I'm like that.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for so long. But holy God, I literally, like, by the time I leave a Chili's half the time, if it's any type of busy, I can pretty much tell you who they don't want to, who sucks on the schedule. Just by listening to the back and forth between like two bartenders and a manager.
But Chili's waitresses, I'm sure it's not typical. It's just my experience. I have not been, how can I say this nicely? The hottest of women. They're closer to Crackle Barrel.
She wants the baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, dick. Chili's, baby back dick.
I didn't even know Chili's was still. Yeah, I guess there is a Chili's up here.
Yeah, I go there semi often. It's not bad. Like I said, for being affordable, it's pretty all right. Fuck, there's still an Applebee's around this motherfucker. Over on the west side.
I think there's one right down here.
Is there?
Fairfield, yeah.
Where?
Over by that Kroger's in Fairfield.
Is there?
Yeah, off Nillis. I think. Yeah, I've been to that one.
Oh.
Because I've DoorDash from there too.
We're living, this is basically the Beverly Hills of the central part of America.
Yes.
This is Ohio, the heart of everything. That's the slogan now on the sign.
Is it?
Yeah, because it's kind of shaped like a heart.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's like, a heart of what? What everything? The heart of fucking corn statues? And one notable sports team? What? The Ohio State Buckeyes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, the Reds have won 5 in a row or something stupid like that, man.
Are they still over 500?
I don't know.
Because that's the only time people give a fuck.
It's baseball. I'd rather watch flies fuck than watch baseball.
Dude, tell me about it. I'd rather watch like the fucking college softball World Series.
Hey, I was at the bar and I was watching that the other.
Softball is much more entertaining than baseball. Because they only have to hit the ball 17 and a half feet to hit a home run. That's not true. I'm not taking anything. They're good athletes on a midget field. It's not their fault. There is no fucking... Dude, the difference between a softball off of a softball bat and a baseball off of a baseball bat is insane. Like, you hear like a knock in a softball game and it sounds like it hit the fuck... like under the sweet spot of a baseball bat.
Yeah.
I'm talking aluminum.
I have a funny story I'll tell after I get done. We're almost done. Here's the bullshit.
The shittiest part of the restaurant industry. I'll address that later.
This is where I got a little chuckle about Uri Geller. He had claimed to influence several outcomes of football matches, i.e. soccer, and major political decisions. He claimed. Geller said he helped England win by moving the ball physically during a penalty kick. During the match at Wembley, Scottish player Gary McAllister took a penalty shot that was saved by England's David Seaman. Geller claimed
Davy comes.
He was in a helicopter flying over the stadium at the time and used his powers to move the ball just before McAllister kicked it.
Oh, go fuck yourself. What was this, the 70-something? Eat a dick. 96. 96. Either way, that was a pretty long time ago. Go fuck yourself. I have to fix this fucking whatever league soccer game for although I will say apparently it's a multi-billion-dollar industry fixing soccer games in Europe.
It's kind of like fixing
like you're telling me this is all going on and there's fucking secret missions going on and Mossad's blowing people up and cutting their balls off in front of their children and all this other crazy shit's going on in the world, and you want to talk about flying around over a soccer game in a MASH helicopter like moving a fucking soccer ball, which A, who gives a shit?
Maybe the wind,
it's soccer.
Maybe
B,
Augusta Wind did it.
Exactly. B, you fucking didn't, dick face.
Oh, it gets worse.
Literally, if a stadium like that with how popular soccer is, I'm pretty sure if every fan on one side went, the fucking ball would move.
Oh, it gets worse. He also says he influenced government decisions. Geller claimed that he used his abilities to influence international political decisions, including matters involving the CIA and Mossad. He claims, most notably, after declassifying documents revealed that the CIA tested Geller in the 70s. So he said this gave it a little bit of credibility, but did it really, though?
Right.
skip this one. Brexit.
Wait, did I say he fucking...
Right, don't. We'll get to it.
All right.
I'm going to end on that one. Geller publicly claimed in 2019 that he would mentally stop Brexit.
What? A British exit where you finish your pint, punch your wife, and fall out the front door of the pub?
He wrote an open letter to the Prime Minister, Theresa May, saying, I feel physically and very strongly that most Britons are against Brexit. I am capable of stopping it telepathically, and I plan to do so.
How fast do you think she crumpled that shit up?
I didn't think he ended it.
Oh, this is Europe. Maybe Theresa was a guy.
They just... Did Brexit? I'm not sure. Did Brexit fall apart, or did England leave? I don't know. Now let's get to the one you saw. We'll get to it. We'll end on this. This motherfucker is taking credit that he used his mental abilities. Let me repeat that. He used his mental abilities to bring about the release of one Nelson Mandela.
What a dick rider. That's all I got for that one.
But I have a question though.
And also, since when are Russian Jews known for releasing black people from prison? Brittany Geller, or whatever the fuck her name is. We literally traded a goddamn like a mass murderer or some shit for that bitch.
Is she a bitch?
When it comes to the trade, I don't find that to be an even trade.
She might have the Michelle Obama thing going on.
I don't know. All I'm saying is I don't find that to be an even trade.
I don't disagree.
Didn't they trade like a fucking FBI top 10 most wanted fucking terrorist for that bitch or some shit like that?
I know they. Yeah.
Like, sorry, you're a WNBA player. Like,
I think that we left one of our people still. They still have one of ours, like a.
Oh, but we got the fucking WNBA star.
Yeah.
Thank God for that. Thank God we're going to bring back $3,200 in revenue by bringing back Brittany Griner.
Well, as a female, if you're 7 foot fucking tall, I would hope you'd be fucking good at basketball. Because the rest of them are about 5'10".
Can she dunk? I've never seen it.
I think she can. It's not pretty.
It never is. Nothing in that league
She's not going to win. I will say, I will watch some WNBA now.
Yeah, because the Great White Hope is there.
She can hit from anywhere.
And I will say, I do talk a lot of shit about the WNBA, and I know I don't knock the athletes so much. I think it's just NBA players could be legitimate. I just don't think that anybody takes women's basketball seriously enough at any major level to really make them like up to par with male. And it has nothing to do with the fact that they're female. I just really don't think that they put as much emphasis on women's basketball. Therefore, or recognition. Therefore, you probably don't get a lot of the better athletes that could potentially go into that sport.
Here's the thing.
Here's the problem. Cheerleading.
Here's the problem with women's sports.
The women.
No, essentially, yes. The women fans. Women don't.
Oh, those catty bitches.
Women, on a whole, not every woman, but on a whole, most women aren't into sports.
Which is what they are. A whole.
They aren't into sports necessarily. To where every man in America is.
You're pretty much just like falling back on the shoulders of Jason Sudeikis at this point.
I mean, every man in this country probably likes a sport. Might not like all of them, or might like all of them. Who knows? But they at least have a sport that is their favorite. And
even then, even if they don't, there's something competitive that they like.
Right.
Be it video games, fucking playing Pokemon, something.
On a whole, now I'm not generalizing, not all women are like that, but there are a vast majority of women that don't even like any kind of sport. So naturally, your clientele pool is much smaller than. Now, I will watch a WNBA game because I personally like the game a little bit better, honestly.
Well, and there's also the fact that, like, I feel like
they play a little defense.
I feel like traditionally, societally, women just aren't raised in. That's you. Every time we're cursed. Is it something important?
No.
Fucking spam call.
Yeah.
Like they're traditionally like they're not in a lot of ways in places raised to look at the level of physicality that comes with a lot of sports as being ladylike.
Right. But my whole point is your fan base is smaller. You're relying on men to watch your sport, and there are some male chauvinist men that will never watch a female sport.
I watch female sports.
I will watch. Like I said, I prefer the female basketball game because they play defense and they're just not about dunking.
Yeah,
it's
they're
actually
about the three.
It's a very good game to watch, and I think that game is the way basketball should be played.
And it's in a league where it actually takes effort to make a layup because you're 5'4".
And I will say this.
Unless you're Nate Robinson, who, again, didn't know until recently, Nate Robinson almost fucking died.
I have watched a few WNBA games last year with the Great White Hope, and then I wanted to watch, that, what's the other chick named Reese?
Angel Reese.
She's fucking horrible.
She's just from what I've seen, she's just big.
And she's not that athletic. It's ugly watching her fucking play. And she lays more bricks than the fucking Salvation.
Yeah, and like
what's that? Habitat for Humanity.
The Ronald McDonald House.
I mean, god damn. I mean,
well, and like that's what makes Caitlin Clark so good. Like, not to sound like a douche, but like Caitlin Clark plays like a dude.
Here's the thing. There is a physical difference between men and women. If you don't like it, sorry, turn me off. Her game, the greatest woman basketball player would never beat the greatest male basketball player. But here's the difference, because
Reggie Miller would disagree with you.
But
because of his sister.
Here's the thing. It depends on how the game's played. If you want to make it physical, no, it's not gonna happen. If you want to drive the lane, it's probably not gonna happen. However,
yeah. Caitlin Clark ain't successfully getting in the paint on LeBron.
But here's the thing: if it's win or take out or make it take it, she can. If you can shoot, just not her, but if you can shoot, that is the great equalizer.
Yeah, well, and there's also the fact that...
And that hooker, and I mean hooker with the utmost respect, could hit from anywhere on the court.
And there's also... Let us also post-face this with... We are both obviously not anywhere near as good at basketball as any WNBA player. I'm not taking anything away from it.
They could...
I just don't think... I say all the time, there's just not money... in women's sports. So why would a lot of these people dedicate so much of their time and effort to something that they're probably not going to make a crazy good living?
No. But it's because there's a flaw in the dynamics in the market.
We got to fix ourselves.
You have to rely on men to watch it because men like sports. And if you're a basketball fan, what are you going to watch? A WNBA game or an NBA game? You might split a little bit. You're going to spend more time watching. You're more likely to watch, as a man, probably watch the NBA game.
They should get better announcers too.
That's true.
They should have like Charles Barkley and Shaq announce WNBA game. I bet you that right there would fucking double their viewership.
Bottom line is, women need to support the women's sports.
Get a bitch back.
I mean,
now that being said, I'm not shitting. I'm all for the WNBA making millions and millions of dollars and paying their players more. No,
but what was they say? They say we don't want to make the same money. We just want the same percentage of what the men make. We don't want to get paid as much as them. We want to make. We think we need a higher percentage of what the league grosses. They did I have to watch something. They did the math on it.
Isn't the WNBA losing money?
They did the math on it. The NBA grosses so much fucking money. They would have, and they did the same formula for the women at what the men get paid per player per the gross. If you average it out, and they did that to the WNBA, they had to cut their salaries in half. And they're only making like $60,000 a year.
Yeah.
The men players, yes, they make $100 million, but the gross of what the NBA makes
is billions.
They make such a small percentage of what the league makes. And I was like, I don't think you want to take a pay cut, kids.
Right.
And here's the thing: the NBA subsidizes that. They're paying for it. The NBA is paying for it, but it's great, and I enjoy watching it. I will watch the shit out of it.
Yeah, women's sports are fucking cool,
and it's not as graceful. The shooting.
I thought that the
shooting is much better.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
driving the paint's a little messier.
It can get a little awkward at times. You know?
But then again, you also have mostly like 5'5" girls, and then the random 7-footer, like,
and which is not fair.
You need some in the middle. You need to find those 6'6". You know what I mean?
When you got a 7-footer playing against 5, that's like a high schooler playing against junior high.
You can't have an entire league of Manute Bowl and Spud Webb.
Right.
It doesn't work.
It doesn't work that way. But I come from the 80s. Larry Bird, Magic Johnson. That's when I watched.
Name one more.
What's his name? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Karl Malone. John Stockton.
That's a little bit. Yeah, that's a little bit later. Danny Ainge.
I forget who that was. I told you about that. It was Gary Payton.
Gary Payton
was fucking talking about. Fuck, who was he talking about? He said he was on the same. It might have been Sean Kemp or somebody. Like, somebody came in and like they played against Utah for the first time in the season. And like, I guess this dude whoever it was like running his mouth about John Stockton, and Gary Payton was like, "No, you respect him. That's a cold white boy."
But they shot the ball. Larry Bird.
It was art.
I love to watch Larry Bird. Hear the stories about Larry Bird.
When he's told, who was it?
I'm going to hit it from right here. I'm going to turn around, jump it, turn around, jump, bank, whatever.
Fuck,
and
who was that?
Did it.
Who was that? I think it might have been like Steve Kerr that they put on him or some shit.
You really gonna insult me?
You insult me with putting the white boy on me like that?
Was it Dan Marley, or I think it was Dan.
I don't know.
I think it was Dan Marley. Kerr. I think it was Dan Marley. I think it was insane. You really gonna insult me by putting a white boy on me?
You really want to make things better? Let's clone Pete Maravich. I'm gonna get this motherfucker.
And he would talk so much shit. But I love the jump shot. I think it's
because white man can't jump.
I mean, it's easy to go in a dunk. Well, not easy. You know what?
When you're fucking 6'10".
Yeah, I couldn't do it.
When you're 6'10" with a 36-inch vertical.
My vertical is about as long as my dick.
Negative.
At least a 3-inch.
I'd be lucky to get that.
3-inch, I could break a hip and I come down. Let's be honest.
If I'm definitely breaking the floor.
But that there's something graceful about, and that's what I like about the WNBA. It's graceful when it's shooting. Now, like you said earlier, driving to the lane can get a little awkward sometimes.
And sometimes it's dope.
But I tell you what, I like the attitude though. They get a little chippy.
Oh yeah, there's some chippy attitudey bitches.
At least 1 week a month. Some of them, if they synced up, the whole team could be fucking bitchy. There could be a bench clearing brawl.
Do any feminine products sponsor the WNBA?
I don't know. I'm kidding.
That'd be interesting
about the syncing up, but
scientifically, you'd think it's got to happen for at least part of the team. They're together enough. Like, that's scientific that happens. Like women in the workplace, that will happen with. Which is what you got to be careful if you live out in the West in the woods and stuff like that, because the bears can smell the menstruation.
Don't want to go swimming in the ocean with one either.
Sharks.
Let's show them in the water.
Gross.
All right, you about ready to get out of here? I think we've covered enough. Oh, well, let's hold on a minute. Uri Geller.
Oh yeah, the subject.
You know, I want it to be true so bad,
but we both know it's not.
But like
at least 50% of it's.
I would say 75% of the shit he claims is just he's an illusionist. Now there could be some psychic type situation where he can pick up on like the drawings and stuff, and maybe. But the bending of the spoon, there's too much proof. Most likely it's a rigged spoon or something to that effect.
Mm. I'd have to say
I want it to be true.
Well, I mean, we want all this shit to be true. I want Ghost to walk through the kitchen right now and be like, fuck you.
I mean, I want him to be the reason Nelson Mandela got fucking freed. But
Mandela never even got freed. Mandela died in prison. It's a body double.
Maybe that's the Mandela effect. Maybe Uri
Uri Geller is the Mandela effect.
Maybe he fucked the timeline up.
He butterfly affected us.
Yeah, maybe. All right.
A drop of water in Michigan makes a tsunami in Japan.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being bullshit, 1 being bullshit, 10 being completely legitimate, I'm going to go 2.4.
I was literally going to say 2.4 because I'm psychic. See, man,
we did not plan that at all.
Oh, the shittiest part of the restaurant industry, Gonzo wants to know.
The bathroom?
No, there's a lot of aspects of it. One, the fact that so many people that have never done that job or only did it for like 3 months in fucking McDonald's when they're in high school don't understand the mental and physical tax that it does take on you at the end of a long day or week.
Right.
Phil's seen it.
Oh, yeah.
I will walk out looking chipper as fuck at like 9 o'clock in the morning and come back looking like a zombie man at like fucking 10 p.m. at night.
That was like, what was it, Friday night?
Oh,
you
God.
looked like fucking, you saw a ghost.
I got destroyed Friday. I was not supposed to close Friday, but I ended up leaving an hour after we were closed.
Because you left right when I walked in. I was like, he does not look good.
Yeah.
You look like you got rode hard, put away wet.
I did.
And not in a good way.
I did, literally. I got absolutely destroyed. And it wasn't just like the cooking aspect of it. It was like everything else. Fucking faulty equipment, all this shit. I've had a lot of faulty equipment escapades lately. That's been a real kick in the dick. Because not only do I have to deal with it at the time, I'm also the one that has to make the call of being like, yeah, fuck it. We're going to have to spend this much money to get this fucking taken care of. Can't function without it. Weekend prices on labor, all that shit, got to bite it. Which comes back on me. No, I don't want to say it comes back on me, but like, I'm the one that's responsible for making that decision in a lot of cases.
Right.
And it sucks because it's not my money. It is necessary money to be spent, but I still don't like calling someone and being like, hey, boss, get ready to say bye to thousands of dollars.
Break out the checkbook, baby.
And I'll probably be calling you in like 2 more months about an equally pricey thing. But yeah, I would say
cost of doing business, though.
I would say the lack of respect that the rest of the world that doesn't know anything about it because they've never done it puts on restaurant workers. Because I say all the time, everybody in the world should be forced to work in the restaurant industry for like 6 months to a year of their life. You would have a lot less people bitching at service workers.
Yeah.
You would have better paid service workers because they would be making more money.
There's 2 of them.
Cocksuckers.
There's one on the light and then one on the blind.
Like the little kid from fucking Jungle to Jungle. But yeah, you would have more service workers making more money. What else sucks? The hours potentially suck. Trying to have a sleep schedule in the restaurant industry can suck fat dick.
Yeah.
Trying to live a healthy lifestyle in general can suck fat dick in the restaurant industry.
I couldn't believe that.
The toxicity potentially affecting your mental state even after you leave work.
So bring that shit home with you.
Customers thinking they know better when you know for a fact they don't know dick about fuck. in the terms of like people being like, why don't you have this? Look, I've been around the block a couple times. I've seen what does and doesn't work. You like something, cool. Your friend likes something, cool. 2 of your other friends like something, cool. That's 4 fucking people. I'm glad that you like it, and yes, I will work my way around to getting some of this stuff from time to time when it's the right time. A lot of stuff is seasonal as well. Some things just don't fucking sell if it's all the wrong season. An open-faced sandwich with mashed potatoes and gravy tends to not sell well in the summer, but sells like shit or like a motherfucker in the colder months.
Here's the thing, that's good shit. I'd eat that anytime though.
But I just had this conversation over this weekend talking to somebody. They were like asking me about something. I'm like, you have to look at it from the business side of this. As I am in management, I have to look at it from the business side of this. If I'm to bring something in because you like it, that's great. I'd love to get my hands on it. Maybe I will. And, you know, I will provide you with that product. But I also have to look at the fact that, like, I'm buying wholesale, case by case. I'm not getting individual shit. And every square foot of storage in a walk-in or a cooler or anything is dollar signs. If something sits there for 6 months, the company's not making any fucking money on that.
They spent the money on it.
And now it's just taking up space that could be held by something that is going to make money.
That's going to move, right?
Barring the necessities for your actual menu items. Like, there is stuff that, like, canned shit that you might sit on for a while, but, like, it's guaranteed to go. It's something for something specific. It might sit there for a week or 2, canned, whatever, but it's going to go. But you bring in other shit that's going to sell like hotcakes for a day and a half, and then it's just going to fucking sit there.
Not worth the time.
They get like, well, you didn't pay for the product. Yes, I did, but now the product is burning a hole in the value of the space that it's fucking sitting in because nobody wants it anymore. I could talk about this all day. I've legitimately talked to a couple people about possibly just doing a restaurant worker fucking podcast. You know exactly who I would do it with. He just doesn't want to do it because he's afraid of it affecting his day job.
Fuck him.
I was like, no, that's very well. He molds young minds. He's a teacher of children, so I was like, you're probably right. Having video and audio evidence of us talking about shit the way that we talk about shit in the restaurant world probably isn't good.
From magicians,
yeah,
put him in a mask.
That would be fun. But how long would it last?
I don't know.
There's literally a podcast about that shit.
There's a podcast.
It's called like Yes Chef or some shit like that.
There's a podcast about everything.
This is true. Yeah, it's called like Yes Chef or some shit like that. Apparently it's for like the mental wellness of restaurant employees. Be like, it's okay. We understand. It's like, yeah, you can have that all you want, but you're still going to go to work tomorrow and have somebody call you an asshole.
Yeah. All right. We're going to.
And yes, the movie Waiting, in more ways than not, is incredibly accurate.
I am getting hungry, so we're going to end this podcast.
I gotta pee. And
he's got to pee, so we are going to say goodbye for right now. We will be back next week.
Like the kids from
for Travis's episode.
What movie was that? Is that The Sound of Music? Goodbye.
I think so. So long, farewell.
Alvita say goodbye. Nazis.
God love the Nazis.
I loved watching
that shit.
Yeah, I loved watching this movie with my mom as a child. Watch his movie, Nazis.
All right. But we will be back next week. Travis will have another fun episode.
Sometime.
He will do. Hopefully. We'll be back. We'll be back sometime next week.
Be there, be square.
We will see you. Take care.
Tiananmen Square, to be exact.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. Or lack thereof.
PBS Broadcasting is brought to you by viewers like you.
We probably make more than them.
Now that Trump's cutting their federal funding.
Exactly.
Which I think is horse shit.
We'll see you next time. Take care. Thank you.
Fuck you.
And
don't be a Nazi.
Well, hey, do you kids.
They wore Hugo Boss.
I mean, they're stylish.
For a bunch of fucking gay dudes.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
I'm sure not all of them were gay. Maybe they did gay stuff, but can we go now?
There was some fruit.
We can go down this rabbit hole we can make this a 5-hour episode.
They were German. Have you ever heard a German person speak English? It's gayer than a gay person speaking English.
Okay.
I woke up and there was Jews everywhere. I said, no.
All right. We're